Welcome to the Telerik Q2 2024 release webinar. We are your hosts for the day. I'm Sam Basu. We are both, dev advocates, and with me I have my good friend of 20 years now, Mr. Ed Charbeneau. So let's talk about developer productivity. Let's talk about your success. How can we come in? You have a lot of things going on in the .NET ecosystem. Where can we try to come in and make you a little bit more productive? And if you are already using our products, thank you for your patronage. If you are new to the family, welcome. You might hear us talk about DevCraft quite a bit. This is our whole bundle of everything we do to make developers a little bit more productive. Everything about how you build modern apps, starting from design to development platforms and languages and testing and debugging, all of it together. That's our DevCraft family. So you're going to hear us talk about mostly the Telerik side of the family today, but we got other things coming up later in this week as well. So just a quick change if you are used to DevCraft release webinars from past years. We have switched things up a little bit. So we are now doing 4 releases in a year, but we're just also trying to be appreciative of your time. The major ones are the ones where you have Ed and me come and talk about all the new cool things in Telerik, and we'll have our friends talk about all things in Tender UI and Fiddler and reporting. So the minor ones are kind of silent releases. So you'll still get the emails, you know what's going on. But the major ones are the ones we come and talk to you about. So we have just pushed out our Q2 2024 release about 10 days back. And it's a lot across 20 plus products in the DevCraft family. And we'll try to do justice, but we only have as much time today. But if you want to know more about the details, check it out all at blogs@telerik.com. Every product team takes the time to write up what's new. And Ed and me always say this, we stand on the shoulder of giants, our engineering folks, our product managers, our testing people, and everybody who contributes to us release. They're all here. So this is also your chance to ask as many questions as you can from us. So every release, we try to kind of go in with a theme. So this one here, our UI components, that's kind of given. That's kind of what we do, trying to light up your apps with smart, polished UI components. It is the age of AI. So you're going to see Ed and me talk quite a bit about AI today, artificial intelligence. We are going to talk about design systems and more accessibility. So that's kind of the overall theme for this release. So just so you know what's coming up this week. So we are starting off with nice and fresh on a Monday. This is the .NET webinar. So we'll talk about all things Telerik UI. We are going to switch things up a little bit today. We are going to do mobile and desktop first. It's so key part of your enterprise workflows. We'll talk about desktop apps and mobile apps with MAUI, WinUI, WPF WinForms, and then Ed's going to take over in the second half of the webinar with all things web across Blazor and ASP.NET Core and MVC and AJAX and all the good stuff. We are here to help you be more productive. So ask your questions. As Ed and me are showing you things, we will try to answer as many as we can, but also we might be sharing screens. So ask away your questions. If you see us go past a certain thing that's of interest to you, fire away questions. There's a Q&A panel. If you like to leave a breadcrumb trail, then ask away on social, and then that way we have a public way of getting back to you. Everything that we show you here is the latest Q2 2024 bits. So if you don't see something that we are showing you, it just means you don't have the updated release bits. So however you get it, there are installers, there are control panels, or there are simple NuGet packages or npm packages. However you get this stuff, go get it, and that's why, or that's how you're going to see things light up. What Ed and me show you. Everything that we do today is going to be sitting on top of .NET. And modern .NET, I'm sure you have seen these slides from Microsoft. It's a good place to be. It's very open. It's very welcoming. It lets you reach almost every platform, every type of app. The tools are great on both Windows, Mac, and Linux as well. Visual Studio on Windows, VS Code, and CLI tools everywhere else. It's nice and consistent. The ecosystem is really nice in terms of all the libraries you can bring in, all the UI that you can have access to. So we are in a good place with .NET, and you're going to see us kind of talk about compatibility. We want to go all the way back to .NET Framework and make sure you are good as you're considering modernizing your apps. And if you want to be on the bleeding edge, right now we are at .NET 8, which is the production-ready version as of last November. .NET 9 is already cooking, and we will have .NET 9 in November of 2024. We already have preview support for that. So choose the .NET that works the best for you. And herein, beyond .NET, we're going to talk about something that none of you have ever heard of. You ready for this, Ed? AI. Yeah, it is the age of AI. Yeah, so here's the thing, folks. If you tune into any of the big tech, conferences, like this is all that you hear. But it's also, the technology is amazing. The things that you can pull off are amazing. But sometimes you come back and you have to, feel a little like, oh, that was a little nebulous. Like I see the wow demo, but come back to your desk, like what's in it for me? So instead of maybe trying to drop everything that you're doing today and switching to AI, maybe it's more prudent to try to infuse a little bit of AI into your existing apps. Because if you don't start thinking about AI, your competition, eventually will, and your users expect intelligence and smartness from your apps. So that's where we come in. We're going to show you a few things we can do to light up your apps with a little bit of intelligence. So you use as much or as little of this as you can. And not everything even needs to be in the public cloud or the public AI, large language models. You can run things locally. If you're working in government or military, maybe you have concerns. So, Copilot and all of the AI services, a lot of it can be within your own premises. So this is a new, evolving area, and, you have to think about how this, makes sense for you. So we'll talk about AI quite a bit. And we genuinely care about your experiences. We are, all for developers and by developers. So check out our docs. We take a lot of time to make sure our documentation is solid. All of the demos are things you can get excited with. You have a lot of sample apps to kind of take a look at and get inspired. If you see something that you would like and it's not there, talk to us. If you want a feature, feedback.telerik.com. We are always reading every single thing that you tell us. So please talk to us. That's how we plan our sprints and our upcoming releases. Okay, so that's all the housekeeping that I had. Let's get right into it. So like I said, we'll do mobile and desktop. If you want Blazor and ASP.NET, just hold on for a little bit. Ed's got all of those things lined up for you. But let's talk about mobile apps. If you want to go into the store, if you want to, have enterprise distribution, how do you go about building mobile apps today? Again, a slide from Microsoft. Like this is where the client ecosystem looks like. You can build absolutely, enterprise-grade desktop apps with WinUI or WPF and WinForms. If you tune into Microsoft Build, you can see WinUI and WPF getting some more investments and love, so which is nice. So desktop is here to stay, and we are here to support you. If you want to go cross-platform, though, that's when you look at .NET MAUI, which is the evolution of Xamarin, and you can do amazing things on both mobile and desktop. If you want to bring in the web, you got some choices as well with hybrid or going straight up with the web as a PWA, and we'll play in that Blazor hybrid space as well. .NET MAUI is multi-platform app UI. I am a huge fan. We have been on this journey with Microsoft from the very early days, and it runs on .NET 8 today, but it started with .NET 6, already has previews of .NET 9, and we are now reaching iOS and Android and Windows and Mac from the single truly shared solution, which is really nice. The project system and the benefits of a revamped architecture, the code sharing, all of that is very, very nice. So we are big fans of .NET MAUI. What can Telerik.NET UI do for you in .NET MAUI space? We have a whole suite of product for you called Telerik UI for .NET MAUI. This is almost 4 years in the making now, so it's got some polish to it, and it's for really nicely built, well-engineered UI components that work seamlessly across web or across desktop and mobile. And it works with the latest .NET MAUI runtimes. If you're coming from Xamarin, we got some migration stuff for you. But the overall idea is choose your tool, choose your framework, Windows or Mac. You should be comfortable with both Visual Studio and VS Code. You got toolboxes, drag and drop support, latest runtime support, and everything is good. Very, very fine-tuned performance because we have enterprise clients who are building mobile apps with .NET MAUI, as well as very high velocity desktop apps with .NET MAUI. So performance and rendering across platforms is high on our minds. Let's start with the brand new components that we have in .NET MAUI. We got quite a few. So first up, you're going to see Ed and me talk about this quite a bit. We have an AI prompt. So it's one thing to look at AI services, but how can you bring that goodness inside of your apps? And we think a prompt control is going to be a good place for you to start because it lets you have a nice little UI, which you can tuck away behind a button if you want, but you have all of the smartness of a large language model, a small language model, however you want your AI to be hooked up to right inside of your app. And you can customize everything about it. You get some views. There's obviously an input prompt view. There's an output view, and there's a command view where your users can do extra things once they hear back from your AI service. So it's kind of a natural extension of the digital experience, and trying to humanize the behavior so people can copy paste, people can retry, because what you get back from large language models, it's non-deterministic. So you ask the same question twice with the same inputs, you might not get the same answer, right? So you want to retry, you want to thumbs up, thumbs down. All of those things are nicely built in for you, and it's very feature rich, meant for developers to be super customizable. You can also suggest things to the user as they're typing. You have flexible styling APIs and localization that's kind of built in. So very, very excited about this, and you're going to see this AI prompt across a wide array of our products today. In .NET MAUI, we have a collection view that's kind of inbuilt, but it's lacking a few features. We had a thing called list view, which you can still use, but we were not happy with how it was functioning. We wanted more performance out of it, so we now have a brand new collection view, which took us a while to get this going because it's completely engineered from ground up. It is super, super performant. Think about binding 100,000 records to your client side on the with the collection view. You should not do that, but if you did, we are here to make sure it still scrolls wonderfully. Completely customizable with templates, and you get every ounce of performance that you can think of. Data binding is super easy. You get all of the features that you expect that you don't have with the built-in collection view: sorting, grouping, filtering, single or multiple selections, styling APIs, lots of programmatic ways to scroll, and events. So it's a really, really full-featured collection view that's now ready for you. We have a templated button. Again, you have a button in .NET MAUI, but our button is kind of on steroids. It does so much more. We are adding more, things to that button, so your buttons can look exactly how your design system, expects you or your buttons to look like. So it's fully customizable. Works with images, a piece of text, have a color on one side or the other. So really customizable as to where you align the text, and it all behaves exactly the way you want. It's full of functionality, and it's ready for you to customize. In the button family, there's also a toggle button. This is kind of a classic mobile behavior, also kind of getting to desktop a little bit. You want something to be on or off. You have that binary choice, and you want to make it very clear to the user what they're looking at, and this is the perfect way. So it has toggle states, couple of visual states that you can have pre-built assets for, so you can toggle things nicely, and again, fully customizable through templates. So the button has come a long way from being a regular button to a templated button to a toggle button. So a lot of good things in here. Brand new control in here with the slider UI. This is exactly what it sounds like, but again, it's on hyperdrive with a lot of features. It can have different, a min-max range. You can have different types of ticks. You can have labels, and it works across mouse and keyboard on desktop. Works with your thumb and touch on mobile devices. So again, a classic slider UI that's built in with all the APIs that you can consume to make it exactly the way you want. Data grid. Now, a lot of folks come to us for the data grid needs because this is hard to do by hand. Trust, believe us when we say this, because we have had years and years of investments in trying to perfect the data grid. It's a lot. So again, it's a full-featured data grid that's already been there. It has sorting, filtering, all types of data binding, virtualization. Everything is built in. We are adding some extra things to it. Again, we have enterprise customers who are building greenfield apps with .NET MAUI. So their desktop needs are very, very advanced, and we are essentially just sharing some of that love to everybody else who's wanting to use the desktop. So there's a new Skia column. So if you have, you have a choice of 10 or so different default columns, but if you would rather roll your own and have granular control over every pixel, roll with the Skia column. There's a new search as you type functionality. This is kind of a classic use case where you have a whole bunch of render data, and you might want to do like a ComboBox or something on the top that helps you search. So why you have a different control now, it's kind of built in a search box, and as you're typing, it kind of filters. You have configurability as to how that built-in search works. So it's here for you too. So a really full-featured data grid now ready for you to work seamlessly across mobile and desktop. The scheduler, this is one of the particularly hard ones to implement because calendars are not fun, especially for iOS or Android. We have all of that figured out. We have a scheduler, and the UI just keeps getting better. It's already a very rich UI, but now we have dialogues built in. So if you have an app, excuse me, like an Outlook type app or a doctor's appointment or any type of field service, you don't need to leave the app. You can do dialogues for appointments and have recurrence and all those complexities built right inside of the scheduler. So your users never have to leave the app. It's all done and it's integrated with iOS, Android, or whatever calendars you might be using. If you want to roll with your custom data formats, like you got the day view and the week view, but if you rather roll with like 3 days or 4 days of a view, you can do that as well. So scheduler is really polished up. PDF viewer. A lot of enterprise folks need to render reports and be able to view reports on mobile and desktop. So that's where the PDF viewer comes in. It renders PDFs with high fidelity, and it's gotten a few extra things now. It's got selection of any amount of text, and you can have a context menu. The most common thing is having copy paste type functionality that's built in, but it's customizable. So if you rather have something else on the on the context menu, you absolutely can, right? So again, works seamlessly between touch and click and drag on mouse and keyboard versus press and hold and drag on touch. All throughout our other enhancements throughout the product, we have rich text editor, which is for your users to be able to have a rich editing experience, be it HTML, be it code, whatever it is that they're formatting, with a full taskbar and a ribbon to let you customize everything. Now you can have a built-in custom context menu, which you can also customize with your own items. Great for cut, copy, paste, and other things as well. Document processing, we'll talk about this quite a bit. We have a whole set of libraries called document processing, which is a separate .NET library, so it works across web, mobile, and desktop. And it is meant for you to be able to easily work through spreadsheets, so Excel, Word, and PDF documents. So we have very granular control over exactly how you compose, how you edit, and how you manipulate those documents inside of your app without ever leaving it. So anything that we do in document processing libraries, you get the benefits all across. In Blazor, in ASP.NET and .NET MAUI, there's a brand new standalone demo, but we have font embedding now, which can be either the whole font, or if you're using just a little bit of the fonts, you can embed a subset of that in your PDF. There is now support for open type font format, so it benefits every product suite. Now, for Telerik UI for .NET MAUI, we do have some demo apps. So again, you don't need to trust anything that I'm saying to you today. Maybe it's inspiring some of the UI that you see, but you can go look. In each of the app stores, iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac, you can go and get these sample apps, play around, and make sure those UI work for your apps. Ask us questions. All of the source code for each of these apps is also open source. I'll show you some of this in a second. So there's plenty of inspiration and know-how to see, how do I do this particular thing? That's where the SDK browser comes in. The control sample and the crypto tracker are great apps in their app stores that tell you, how the UI renders and how to really hook things up. Okay,
What's
that's
your
all
favorite
about
crypto? Are you going to track your favorite crypto for us?
I don't know. You may or may not want to invest in crypto these days, but if you do, you got all of the UI to start lighting things up. Okay, Xamarin officially came to end of life in May of 2024. We say this with a sad heart because we have had like 8 or so years of investments into this. Thankfully, all of that moves forward nicely. So even though official Microsoft support has ended, doesn't mean your apps are going to catch fire. It's going to be fine, but hopefully you are looking at modernization strategies. It's been a very full-featured UI suite for us. We'll keep on maintaining it until all of you are off Xamarin, and then we are onto .NET MAUI land. If you want to get inspired, we did have quite a few real-world Xamarin apps out there in the stores, like a CRM app, an ERP app. Those are all now migrated to .NET MAUI. So check out the source code, see how we move things over. It should be, with upgrade assistance, it should be a fairly easy journey. But of course, every app is different. Really complex apps need a lot of planning and architecture. Nice way to customize or fix up the things that you want to fix in your app. So good place to be if you're in .NET MAUI, but if you're in Xamarin, it's time to hop on to the newer thing. Now, let's talk about the other aspect of doing Xamarin and .NET MAUI, and that is bringing in web. So again, the Microsoft slide here, .NET offers choice. So you can have all of the depth, which you're talking platform APIs with .NET MAUI, if you wanted to go native, or you can have Reach, and Ed's a big fan of Reach with browser and the web that runs everywhere. Maybe you want to be, it's a sliding scale. Maybe you want to be somewhere in the middle. Blazor is very welcome in .NET MAUI because .NET MAUI and Blazor share the exact same runtime, which is modern .NET. So move around and see where you want to be. If you have investments in Blazor, all of that comes over nicely to mobile and desktop.
Sam, I'm never going to get you to say VR in that. That
No.
my
So we are the only ones who will stand by you to say everything that we have in Telerik UI for Blazor also works on mobile and desktop. We'll stand by you with support, so you have confidence doing this. Again, the classic use case is you are, building Blazor hybrid apps, so Blazor components, UI styles, and navigation right inside of MAUI, and you get access to all of the platform APIs. You can do that. A more realistic use case is sharing UI between web and native. So now you have a shared Razor class library. That's where you pull out your Blazor components and your styles, and the same UI drives the same experiences on both web and native, and you get interfaces and implementations that are different between web and native. So a really nice way to modernize and start mixing and matching your technology stacks. Again, like I said, we are the only ones who will stand by you. If you want to bring in some Angular and React as well, we'll talk about that a whole lot more on Wednesday. But all of that also works on .NET MAUI. So all of Telerik UI for Blazor just works inside of .NET MAUI mobile and desktop apps, which is a really nice thing to have. Now, I'm getting a little bit here into Ed's space, but I will keep it super short because I know he's going to cover this. Design systems, how you design your apps and how you style your apps is important. You want that consistency, and we want to help out with something called ThemeBuilder. Hopefully you have seen this. It's for you to start with existing themes, work with the designer, bring in some Figma utilities, and start designing and customizing your own design system. And by that we mean all of your variables, all your styles as to how you render thousands of components all across, with a little bit of tweaking all across. And that's for all of your web apps. We are actually tinkering how we can bring some of that to desktop, but you can do that right now. So if you're using Telerik UI for Blazor, and you want to style your apps through ThemeBuilder, you can bring those styles right inside of .NET MAUI, and everything just works because it is a web canvas. We're rendering things inside of a web view, so bring in your CSS or even your Sass, and everything just works. So consistent UX across all of your apps. All right, let's look at some stuff, shall we? I'm going to stop here and let's take a look. So I'm going to show you things starting with .NET MAUI first. So if I head over here to Telerik.com, you can see where the MAUI suite lives. That's our MAUI suite. If you have never tried this, give it a shot. It's come a long way with all of the UI that's now built right in for you. Data controls, visualizations, navigation, layouts, charts and graphs. We are known for charts and graphs and all types of data visualization, which is much more accessible these days, editors and all of that. So you can start, all of this is accessible through a simple NuGet package, so you don't need to install anything. It can just be brought inside of your app. Or if you rather hit the try now button, that gives you an installer. So I have an installer here. When I do install, this is the latest version here, Telerik UI for .NET MAUI 7.0. You get a few things. You get the NuGet packages if you want to just drop it in your apps. You get some examples, and you get the binaries. The examples are exactly what you see on stores. The control sample and the crypto tracker, those are exactly the apps that we have in the stores, so you can get inspired. It's a full-scale, real-world app, with MVVM design pattern that gives you a way of how to run things. So let's go take a look at this here. So I'm on a Mac. I will show you Windows as well, but VS Code on a Mac is actually really nice because now it has XAML IntelliSense and hot reload built right in. So I am very productive. So let's go in here, and I'm going to open up the sample app here. Let's go into my examples and the control sample here. So when it opens up, it's going to be a full-featured app. You can look at the Solution Explorer, which is the Visual Studio way of doing things. It hides the CS Proj. It knows a few more things, but I don't mind the raw view here. So all of the UI that you see, let me maximize this here a little bit. All of the UI that you see, I'm going to bump up my fonts. All of those are hidden behind the examples folder. So all of the UI is right in here for you to get inspired and see how we are doing things. Let's go ahead and run this. Again, this is on VS Code, so I can tap on here and I can change where I run this app. So iOS, Android, Windows or Mac, wherever I'm at. So on Mac is fine, desktop app. So this is all live. I'm going to fire up a build. And since it's Mac Catalyst, it's going to go talk to Xcode, come back with an app package. It's the bridge between iOS and Mac desktop. So what you're going to see is the desktop version of the app with .NET MAUI. And it is going to be full featured because it has a lot of, and in fact, all of our UI built right inside. So this is the app, which is all of the Telerik UI for .NET MAUI. You can take a look at all of the controls here. They're all listed right down here. or you can navigate here from the beginning as well. Let's start here with the AI prompt. This is where you get to light up your UI. So see that little button here that brings up a modal window? And here, your users get to type in and talk to whichever AI service is of choice for them. And you can provide some suggestions. So here, this one here is about maybe writing CVs. I can just tap on it as a user. I don't actually have to, type it out, and I can say generate. So it's trying to tell me, here are some key points that every resume should have, and so on. I get the thumbs up, thumbs down. I get the retry and a copy. That's by default. So this ask AI and the output, those are views, and I get that by default. In addition, I can do other things, like I can have these extra options. Like these are all commands. So when I'm talking to my AI system, I can say, let's just translate that to German. So now I can go talk to my AI service, OpenAI or Azure AI, whichever, or Hugging Face, whichever is your AI service of choice, and you can go say translate this. And so your user doesn't need to type any of that. All of those are commands, and you can simplify things, you can translate things, whatever makes sense for your app. So all of that AI is now nicely tucked away within an AI. You don't have to do anything as a developer, and your users get that first-class experience of working with an AI system without knowing that you're the interface in there. Here's the collection view, which is fresh, engineered from ground up, super performant. It has all the features that you can think of. So sorting, grouping, filtering, everything is done. You look at the configurations. You can have it vertical, you can have it horizontal, item length, item templates. Everything is customizable for you to use. Selection mode, single or multiple. So we are very proud of the new collection view, and we'll keep iterating on it. Data grid. So this one is kind of our bread and butter. Everybody uses the data grid, and it is super, feature rich at this point. If you look at some of the column types, we have some updates. We can now do certain, special types of bindings. So if you want to bring in like a percentage sign or a dollar value, we can do all of that with some special, data formatting. So again, based on the converters that you have in your XAML code, we can render it exactly as is. Now, this one here is super cool. This is our search as you type. And I can, hide it if I want it. I can, change whether it matches from the beginning or whether it matches on the case. Here's a list of maybe some orders here. I see some Brazil in here, so I can just type in Brazil. You can see the experience. As I typed as a user, it's already doing the filtering and just brings me back the ones that I want to look at. So exact number of matches, super convenient to have a search box right inside and built inside of your data grid. Okay. So that's the data grid. Let's keep going down here. I'm going to show you more things. So scheduler, this one is an existing control, but we have added a whole bunch of things to it. Custom date format. So you are used to the week view or the month view. This one is like a 3-day view. So maybe you are in an industry where you care about a certain part of the day or maybe certain number of days in a week. You can do exactly that. These are the custom dialogues that are new. Again, your user never has to leave the app. I can just hit that plus button and I can set up a new appointment with recurrence, with repeatability, location, everything is all set. So your user never has to leave the app, which is really nice. So that's the scheduler. Let's keep going to the rich text editor. This one here is for your users to be able to modify HTML or Word type text, right? So with tables, with images, with whatever you want. Now in here is a new thing here where I can select any part of the text. It's loading up here. Let's just say Barcelona, and I can let's do a selection here, and I can right click. So you see that bold, italic, and underline? That is a custom context menu. You can have whatever you want in it. So again, extra functionality for your users to be more productive while they're using your stuff. All right, let's go on to more things here. I'm going to come back to home. The slider. Oh, no, I went to the different one. Hang on. Let's go back. Let's look at the slider here. This one here is a slider, but it is full featured. So again, works seamlessly between thumb and mouse and keyboard. Has all of the features with, you can look at the configurations. Where do you want your labels? Where do you want your ticks? How much do you want to backtrack? What's the tick length? What's the thumb fill color? All of those are APIs that you can tap into. All right, so moving on, let's look at maybe one more thing in here, and then we'll look at something else. PDF viewer. This one here has customization, so I can have a custom menu up here. You can see how easy it is for me as a user to navigate. So I can do next, last, zoom in, and zoom out. everything is super easy with your customizable, menu options here. So again, take a look at this app. It is full featured and lets you run exactly or see all of the UI. Now, just so you know how simple this is, I can just have the same app and I can change to have this run on a smaller form factor. Let's do an iPhone 15 Pro Max, right? And I will go run this app again. And maybe also this is an inspiration for you to see that just because you have the same exact code base running on mobile and desktop, so you're going to see the same app, but with very different user experience. And we catered this with some desktop views and some mobile views, and you can mix and match. You can, once you have a desktop view, you can reuse your views, maybe bring the views together. So same app, and you see how different it looks like, right? So again, lots to play around and make sure you're happy. If I go to the collection view, you can see how everything looks different because now it's touch first, it's mobile first. So these are apps that are there for you to get inspired. They're out in the app store, so check them out. Now, while we are looking at this, let's talk about a few more things in .NET MAUI. So this was the one I was talking about with Theme Builder, if you wanted to do that. Let me show you just one quick, very brief example here. This is a .NET MAUI app, but with the Blazor template. So now I have my Blazor pages and my components right inside. I have www, so I have CSS, and I have images. I have some web things inside of my .NET MAUI app. But if I go ahead and run this, what I'm trying to show you is, actually, before I do that, let's go in here. And on Telerik.com, we're going to go into our theme builder. And let's go ahead and launch Theme Builder here. Let's try now. That's fine. Oh, I have not logged in a while. I have way too many accounts. So let's go in here. And this is our Theme Builder app. And let's see, open the Theme Builder app here. This is for all of your web folks. And again, we have some very exciting things that Ed's going to talk about. But this is just me as a mobile or desktop developer, not understanding much about design systems and CSS. When I create a new project here, I get some default styling mechanisms. I can do bootstrap material, or I can roll with my own. This one here is me trying to do a fluent style, and all you see is all of our Blazor UI light up, and this is exactly what your web developers in the house will do. The only thing I've done here is I've matched the primary template color. I can have a secondary, tertiary color. I've matched that color to be purple to make sure that I am aligning myself to the .NET purple. And when I hit that export button, all of that style, and including the visual states, including all of the different interactions, comes right down to me. And I can drop it in. If you can notice my downloads folder here, that's the Blazor Fluent thing, and I can open it up, and I get my distribution folder with Sass and CSS. So what I've done in this app is just simply drop that Blazor Fluent style. This is a style which is a long CSS, and I don't want to touch it because I'm the developer. I want to trust and honor what my designer has done. I just want to light it up in my native apps. So what I can do is in my index HTML. Yes,
if you can, just slow down just a tiny bit, where we got some folks that aren't as up to speed with some of the stuff you're talking about. They're trying to keep up.
Okay, I will try, but I have a lot to cover.
I know you have a lot to cover.
This is the challenge we always run into. We are trying to do justice in like an hour and a half. Okay, so what we are doing here is bringing some web CSS styles inside of native apps, because this is an index HTML. And then in my index.razor, which is a Blazor component, I can render all of my Telerik Blazor components right inside of my mobile and desktop app. And all I have to do is just make sure I have that one CSS lined up. And in my main page.xaml, I only have a Blazor web view. That's my one web view that looks up and launches my Blazor app inside of my mobile or desktop. And all of the Blazor UI, all of the navigation, it's all there for you to see. So let's go and run this app really quickly. You're going to see a desktop app here. I'm running it on a Mac, but this has quite a few of the Blazor UI already rendered inside of it. So envision you have a Blazor web app, and now you're trying to bring that same experience to desktop. So here's like a button class of buttons. Here's a QR code, calendar. Everything is purple because I chose it to be purple. And you can see where it's blue because it's trying to inherit from certain things here. If I look at the counter component, this is a regular button. So notice the difference here. This is a Telerik button, so it's purple because it's aligning to my Telerik theme. Or I can make every button align to that design system class as well. So again, CSS, Sass, once you have it customized through Theme Builder, you can bring it in very comfortably on mobile and desktop. Performance is great compared to like Electron or other ways. This is a tiny web view that's lighting it up, so performance is really good. All right, let's switch back to one more thing, because we kind of glanced over the AI prompt, which is really nice for you to look at. Let's take a closer look at it, like as if I'm starting up a brand new app and I see this AI prompt that Telerik has. I want to use it. So how can I hook this up? So here is a Hello World, .NET MAUI app. Now, what I've done here is brought in my Telerik reference here, Telerik UI for MAUI, that's using the latest version. And I'm bringing in one of my favorite NuGet packages, ChatGPT, so I can go talk to OpenAI. So I am just bringing that in. Here is my main page.xaml. Here's my rad AI prompt. I can just have it as is on the page, or I can hide it behind like a prompt button, and then that way it's really tucked away. And then in my main page, I have nothing. I'm just setting a binding context to the main view model. The main view model takes in a little bit of stuff here to make sure that I can talk to my AI service. It has a prompt request command. Everything is wired up here from the XAML view. I have an input view, I have an output view, and I have my commands. If I wanted to add, those commands are wired up here. I can have a can execute. So if the search string is empty, I don't want to fire off an AI call. If it is not empty, then I can new up my ChatGPT client. This is kind of a hackish way, but you have dependency injection, so you can bring that service in once it's registered in your MAUI and I can fire up an actual call and see the response. And all of this is because in my MAUI I have my OpenAI key, and I am talking to ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo. You can talk to whichever model of your choice. So let's go ahead and run this really quick. So this is kind of a hello world way of dropping the AI prompt inside of an existing app and seeing what it does. We are looking at time here. I got 20 more minutes to cover desktop, Ed.
So we had a good question about AI earlier, Sam. The question, the general idea of it was, should you be concerned that somebody on your team is just going to kind of embed some, AI code in your front end? My take on that was like you're showing now, a lot of this requires some sort of server interactivity. Like you need Azure powered, AI to do a lot of this stuff. So I wouldn't be as concerned with somebody just, going off script and using AI in your UI components. What's your take on that, Sam?
It's entirely up to you, right? So a lot of folks have the same exact ethical concerns, but this is for your users to be more productive. You are just giving them a sliver to be more productive as they type, or they want extra information that is in context of your industry. Now, it's up to you what you do with it, right? So you can have, a direct line to OpenAI or Hugging Face where you're directly talking to an AI service, or you can use something like Azure AI, which kind of gives you those guardrails. It lets you have some content filters. It has some, how many times you can call the service in a second and so on. So those guardrails are up to you to set up, and it's up to you. This is all running on the client, so you decide what you do with that response from the AI. But moving on, here's a little button here. I can have it entirely rendered, or that button kind of hides that prompt. This is the default view. So here, this is actually plugged into an AI thing. So just to honor Ed, so we're going to say, what is Kentucky known for, right? Hopefully it's more than chicken or bourbon, right? So I fire up generate here. This is actually going off. Did I click? Yeah, there it is. Bourbon, bluegrass music, of course, and horse racing, Derby. How can we forget? And fried chicken and Appalachia and so on. And again, remember, this is an LLM. It's talking to a large language model, so you ask the same question twice, you will not get the same response. And then let's ask one more thing. What is Bulgaria known for? Because our engineering teams for the Telerik side of the family many of them are based out of Sofia, Bulgaria. So let's do a generate here. Again, just to give you an idea that all of the intelligence, all of the human ingenuity is at your fingertips. And it comes back, of course, rose and yogurt and rakia and all the good things that Ed and me love. So all of this is power at your fingertips. You can have custom commands. You can do whatever you want with the response. Like to your question, it's up to you, the developer, to decide what the user does with that. So just a hello world way of looking at this, okay? So let's switch here. I got so little time and so much more to cover. So let's switch gears. But I think we might do a quick poll as we get along. So hold on for a second. Where were we? So we talked about all of this stuff, and we talked about this. We talked about that, and let's do a quick poll just to make sure everyone's awake and it's interactive, because we are planning on our next things to do in the .NET MAUI suite. We are happy with where things are, but we are hearing that theming is something you could use some help. Dark mode, that's a different ball game. But are you considering a design system integration like Material or Fluent or Cupertino, any of those design systems that you want to start with or roll your own? Is that something that you would be interested in? Because it's a big engineering effort. It's not baked inside of the .NET MAUI framework. We would love to help, but we would also love to know what you would do with it or how useful that would be for you. So looks like exactly what Ed would like to say with ThemeBuilder. The predefined themes are a really nice way to start. And of course, a lot of you want to roll your own. That's totally fine too. All right, good to know, folks. And thank you for helping us out here. All right, so let's keep going. Let's get back to full screen mode here. Let's talk about desktop, right? So lots and lots of choices as to how you build modern enterprise-grade desktop apps. WinUI is the latest Windows UI UX stack, and we have done a lot of work on this already. Telerik UI for WinUI is super full-featured. It's up to 2.10.0, lots of engineering, and it rides the wave of Windows, development, Windows app SDKs, all of the WinUI 3 benefits that you get, and everything that you can think of is there for you. All of the enterprise readiness, ribbons, bars, and graphs, and charts, and data grids, it's all there for you. So it's very, very rich, and it's all ready for you to light up your next Windows app. If you are using certain older technologies, again, do not let anybody tell you those are legacy, because those run on modern .NETs. And take a look at this, Telerik UI for WinForms and WPF. Really matured suites with 150 plus controls. They run on every type of .NET you can think of. .NET framework going all the way back to 4.6. And if you want to stay on the bleeding edge, .NET 9 previews, right? .NET 9 is going to be out this November. We already have support for that. So choose the .NET that you want, and be happy with your WinForms and WPF apps, because those can be very, very modern. As we'll see, we can inject some AI into those apps. So why not? So WPF and WinForms is here to stay. We are very happy to invest and have developers be more productive. Telerik UI for WPF gets that brand new AIPrompt. Again, the same functionality that you saw in .NET MAUI for you to plug into an AI service and light it up with predefined views and all the customizability. There is a brand new DateRangePicker. So if you are building like a travel app, or you want to see date reporting, or any type of things that are over a certain period of time, this is great. Gives you a min-max range and great experience on, if you're doing things with touch on a kiosk as well as with mouse and keyboard. Culture sensitive, read-only support. You can have blackout dates. You can have extra things about clearing the date ranges. And again, complete customizability over how you style it, what type of calendars to use. So a full-featured DateRangePicker is right there and ready for you. Like I mentioned, now we are kind of in line with Microsoft. We are going all the way back to .NET Framework 4.6.2, as well as .NET 6 onward. So choose the .NET that works for you. All of the document processing updates, they all benefit WPF as well. PDF processing gets a few extra things, like embedding file streams directly inside of your PDF documents, embedding Zug for invoices. Don't ask me what it is. I had to look it up, but it's a standard now in terms of electronic invoices. Kind of started with German-speaking countries, but now everybody's adopting it. Now you can embed those invoices right inside of your PDF. Zip library gets a brand new strong AES encryption. So again, folks who deal with such invoices, folks who deal with such encryptions know exactly what these things mean. And you got support for that built in with PDF processing and spreadsheet processing. WinForms, this one keeps on getting love. There is an AIPrompt UI, exactly the same UI that you saw. Hide it behind a button, or just let it roll exactly how you want. Hook it up to any AI service, and it's all done for you. Windows Forms gets a new compact theme. So we have had a Windows 11 theme before. Now you get a much more compact view of it. So you get to deliver more information within a smaller amount of surface area, and you get a dark mode as well. So really nice for really busy WinForms apps with a nice clean aesthetic. WinUI, WinForms also gets additional things like the grid view, gets like some new summary row. There is a new NuGet package where, no matter which .NET framework that you are running on, you don't need to worry about those references. Just say, give me WinForms, and we'll figure it out based on the runtime and the target framework, which exact versions of WinForms NuGet packages that you need from us. So that's nice. Runtime support, again, we heard the .NET runtime, document processing, PDF processing, zip library. They're all the same benefits that you get from WPF as well. Now, all of those things are now powered through document processing, which is, like I said, it's a separate .NET library for you to, it's UI agnostic. So it lets you use .NET APIs and, reap the benefits on web, mobile, and desktop. So it's great for PDF processing, great for word processing, spreadsheet processing, zip libraries, and so on. So take a look at this. There's a brand new demo in here as well. So let's take a look at this really quickly, desktop apps, right? Let's come back here. I have, let's see, how long do I have? I have 10 minutes. That should be good. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple of things here. First is I'm going to remote desktop into a machine that I have sitting behind me, or under my desk, rather. That one here, I'm going to connect to that. This is more of my demo machine, so I'm going to quickly go in here and show you what it's like in Windows. So let's run a few apps here. This is WinUI. I think I still have the older one here, but again, you can run this locally. You can get it from the store. Again, all of the WinUI that we do, all of the ribbons, all of the charts, graphs, data grids, it's all right there for you. You can see the latest like chat UI that we did last release. All of that is there for your WinUI apps. Now let's take a look at WPF apps here. This one, again, if you're in the store, this is a store app that I'm showing you. Just hit update and you're going to get excuse me, all of this UI kind of light up for you. This in here is the new AI prompt. So again, if you tap into the first look, exactly the same experience. You're trying to generate like an out of office email, and I can hit generate, and out comes a response that I can copy and paste into my email. You get the idea. Same exact thing with different types of commands, like change the formality, like would you write it to say like yo, or would you like it to say more official enterprise type things, translations, you name it, that's your commands to light up, right? So all of that is there for you to use. This is the new DateRangePicker. If I go in here, you can see like there's a ton of data, lots of data in this rendered in this chart, maybe too much as for me as an executive. I want to see just maybe a week's worth of data. So I can do that. I can shift and hold down the key, and I can select a date range, and I can choose between how I traverse the calendar, whether I want to have a clear button or not. And then when I hit apply, excuse me, it picks up the date range, and it's just there for you to have a real nice experience as a user. So again, if I go into the configuration options here, you can see if my clear button should be visible, how should I render my dates, what should be the date format. All of those are options for you to check out. So that's WPF demo. Take a look at all of the other UI here as well. So let's close this and let's look at WinForms. Similar story, you're going to see that AIPrompt right up front. Again, it's marked very clearly which release that you're looking at, so make sure you're looking at the latest release. That's the AI chat prompt right in there. So all of your WinForms app with all of the functionality, 150 plus controls are there for you to see. And what's nice about the desktop apps is, let's say you want to look at this and you want to see how exactly is this done. I can look at the code. I can just bump this up a little bit here. I can see how to wire up things in my AI prompt right inside the app. I never have to go even look at the example or on GitHub. It's all right in the code here. So I can look at the XAML view. I can look at the form view in a WinForms app, and all of the CS code behind. It's all right in there inside the app for you to look at. So
I think I always mention this too, Sam, that code view is a component in this tool set as well.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, that all is nice, but let's ask you a quick question here. Quick poll about desktop stuff here. So you looked at WinUI, you looked at WinForms, you looked at WPF. You understand here there is no right or wrong. It all depends on what your needs are. Are you looking at modern greenfield things? You want to be cross-platform with .NET MAUI? You want to support Mac? Then that .NET MAUI is your thing. If you're happy with WinForms or Windows, either WPF or WinForms is going to light it up for you. So if you are building, maintaining, or starting up a new desktop app today, what would you use? Okay, that makes me happy that 59% of you want to look at .NET MAUI. That's great. It's the latest cross-platform stack. What's not to like? And .NET MAUI has come a long way. We have, like I said, enterprise clients building very, very busy, super high fidelity, high velocity desktop apps with .NET MAUI. So that's great. But at the same time, if you are rolling with WPF and WinForms, know that you are not in a bad place. You are great because you're running on the latest .NET runtimes. You can embed Blazor, you can bring in AI, so you can have at it, right? Okay, so we are 6 minutes out towards me giving it back to Ed, but we're going to kind of channel our inner Steve Jobs here. One more thing, one more small thing that we did that we want you to take a look at. Say hello to Smart AI Components, because now we can, it's one thing to give you a prompt, which is a great start, but we actually have extra chops that we can bring to the table for you to be working with AI services. Because we have document processing, because we know how to do very advanced things on desktop, we can bring some of that power to you. And these are our new AI-powered smart components. These are still experimental. So if you want to use it in production, please be careful. But this is our playground for you to envision what is possible with AI. So we are bringing it into a rich text box, and we are bringing it inside of our spreadsheet control. These are, again, the spreadsheet one is powered by document processing. So hopefully you get an idea of what is possible with modern AI. So let's take a look, right? Let's take a look here. So I am going to go into another Windows machine. This one happens to be a VM. It's going to take a second here to load up, and I'm going to show you things inside of Visual Studio. We have a new lab. It's a playground for all things AI. So let's open up Visual Studio here, and we'll take a look at this. If there are any questions, we promise we'll get back to most of it here, as much as we can. And hopefully the chat room, you've been asking questions, and our folks have been trying to respond as well. So let's take a look at this app really quickly. Again, you can run these things off our GitHub repo here. So it's loading up. This is a super, super simple WPF app, right? So what it's doing here is bringing in Telerik UI for WPF. With it comes the document processing. And envision, you are letting your users create a rich text document, HTML or Word or whatever it is that you want. This one here happens to be like a Word type document. So I am a user, I am a WPF user, I am creating a new document right in here. So it starts up with a default document here, but let's just say I'm starting out, this is my app specification, I'm saying you should build an app with Telerik UI for WPF. And I have questions. So I'm like, what is WPF? Question, right? I'm the user. I'm trying to understand how I should write my app. And it's coming. Okay, there you see. I can hit tab, and that blob of text came back from OpenAI, because we literally went off to Azure OpenAI or Hugging Face, any UI, and we said, can you give me more information? I am the user. I am a field agent. I'm typing something. I'm an HR professional. I'm typing something. Help me out. So I don't have to type as much. So let's try one more thing. What is Telerik, right? Question mark. Again, we are finding out that question with a whole bunch of context to OpenAI, and out comes the response, and it says, hey, Telerik is a comprehensive software development tool, blah, 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 and I get to hit tab to accept or reject and so on. So quick example of what is possible with a rich text box. And all of this is powered up because I am listening to, or our folks here in the code are listening to your keystrokes, and we load up the initial doc, and then way down here, I actually have my OpenAI API, and I'm talking to GPT 3.5 Turbo, and I'm saying, here's the input, give me some responses back. So that's one load. Let me show you
what's nice about this too, Sam, is, if you're like a field agent working on, say, like an insurance claim, your company can go into Azure and help train the model on the responses that you want to give back for certain scenarios. Exactly. So it doesn't have to be completely wide open. And then you also, your models are your models. So you're not sharing that data outside of those models.
Exactly. That can all stay in-house if you want. You use, semantic kernel, you use RAG, whatever is your AI service of choice, it can happily talk to you. Take a look at this one here. We have document processing libraries that are experts at doing spreadsheet processing, word processing, PDF processing, and we wanted to show you what it's like to combine that with the power of AI. So here's a spreadsheet UI. I got my ribbon on top, and I'm a desktop user. This is a WPF app, right? So this one here is looking at certain years and looking at Formula One for those of you who follow. And it's starting out that 2000, Michael Schumacher was the one who was the world champion. If you look at the cell, what it's saying is, give me the #1 place driver for that Formula One season, and I go up till 2010. So as a user, I can now come in here and I can just stretch that column. Behind the scenes, what's happening is our document processing library says, oh, you wanted me to fill in. You're essentially stretching it. So let me get you the winners and the world champions for 2000 till 2010. Right? I grew up with Michael Schumacher. We go until 2010 is because that's until you had some suspense. Like 2010 to 2020, it was all Lewis Hamilton. And beyond 2020, it's like all Max Verstappen. It's not even fun anymore. We know who's going to win. But you get the idea, right? So I control Z out of it. Now this cell here says, hey, look at this. This is the row C, and this is row B, and this is row column A, right? So we are asking how many wins did Michael Schumacher have in that season for him or her to be a world champion, right? Be as specific as we can. So I'm going to combine both of these things now and do a drag. You understand the benefit of this as a user. I can have any type of enterprise workflow, and I have the context of what I'm doing, and I'm only going off and asking AI for what the question is. It might take a second here for it to come back. Yeah, Windows security, I don't want that right now, but you kind of get the idea, right? So 2000, Michael Schumacher, how many wins? This one came off as a little bit awkward here, but it's all strings that it's coming back. How many average wins did I have, right? So envision this in your enterprise workflow. Envision the power of Telerik document processing with AI to light up your workflows, right? So hopefully this is something that gets you excited. This is all experimental. We want to do more. So please tell us what you would like us to build, and we will consider things and go from there, right? So
if you can tell me the wins for 2025 through 2035, I'd be impressed.
Yeah, I mean, AI does hallucinate. So again, it doesn't have any data to go off. Again, these are large language models we are talking of. Please understand that they are trained at a point of time and they're non-deterministic. So you're not going to get the exact same response. Or maybe you want to talk to your own service. Maybe you want to have a local embedding and some semantic searches that you want to do with Blazor started things off with smart components, and you can see what that means for desktop. Let's do one last poll here before we hand it off to Ed. Hopefully, this one last thing gets you a little excited. Is the poll coming? There it is. So, smart components. We are considering things right now with Blazor, with WPF, with WinForms, potentially .NET MAUI, and other things. We would like to do more. Does this excite you? Does this seem like something you would want to use? Again, don't just think about OpenAI or cloud-based AI services. Think about what this means for your workflows. Do you see a benefit of this in terms of UI, where you can maybe talk to a local service? Maybe you can talk to something that is powered by machine learning that you are just trying to use internally and trying to have in context knowledge. So if we were to do this, how likely are you to use any of these smart components? Okay, all right. So Ed, you got 30%. So about a third, yeah, on the same. And I don't blame any of you. So this is all new, and it's the age of AI. We are all trying to internalize this and trying to understand what this means for us and our apps, right? So maybe you're not ready right now, but again, like I said, your competition will be looking at this as well. So how much of the AI do you want to get in and jump in? That's your decision. If you are ready, when you're ready, we want to make sure we have all of the UI for you to light up your apps and make your apps intelligent, make your apps smart. So the UI part of it is not something you need to worry about. You set up your services, you go talk to large or small scale language models, we bring the UI. So that's the goal.
I think a good summary of that question or that poll comes as a question of, can we have 100% faith in AI results? And I think the 100% thing that is something that developers have a hard time getting their minds around. This is all probability-based software. So, we're used to like Boolean algebra, like, is this true or false? Do some branch of operation, right? AI is completely different. It's a probability of something being correct. So you don't really have 100% anywhere in AI. It's very much deterministic. So
yeah. But you could have some control, like while you're making those AI calls, you can have different types of input parameters and guardrails. There's something called temperature, which essentially tells the large language model to go crazy or kind of go with a more of a safe, guaranteed answer. So you can control the temperature and kind of have some sort of a guarantee that you're going to get safe answers, but there's no 100% in AI. So like I said, it's up to you to decide how much or how little of this you want to use. when you decide to use AI, we want to be right there to help you light up your UI. So I've talked for about an hour. I'm going to go look at all of the questions in the chat room, and let's hand things over to Ed to talk about all things web, because you folks have been waiting patiently to hear about Blazor and ASP.NET. So Ed, if you're ready, I'm going to make you the presenter.
Go ahead, Sam. Here we go. We're going to talk about what's new in Telerik UI for the .NET Web. As Sam mentioned at the very beginning, we have some other webinars dedicated to people that are building React and Angular apps. Make sure you tune into those if you are using those platforms. I'm going to mainly be talking about ASP.NET Core, Blazor, MVC, Razor, all of that stuff, and of course, ASP.NET AJAX. And that's kind of the agenda for today. I'm going to start with AI because everybody's talking about AI lately. We saw Google I/O, we saw Microsoft Build. There's some great new tools coming out in AI, and we want to be part of that ecosystem as well. And we have some nice UI integrations there. So we'll talk about what's new in AI. Sam showed some of the stuff that we have on desktop and mobile. We have similar components in our web space as well, and I have some fun demos to share with you. We have some shared updates. These are updates that apply to Telerik UI for Blazor, MVC, and Core, and they're kind of shared across those platforms. Things like ThemeBuilder and that sort of thing. Then I'll get into very specific stuff for Blazor, onto ASP.NET Core and MVC, and then finish up with a little bit of AJAX. So I want to talk about blending UI with AI. We've heard a lot about AI and all of its capabilities from Google, Microsoft, and all the other big companies out there. And we want to integrate some of that smart technology into our components. And we have some new experimental components, similar to what you saw on the desktop with Sam's components that are also experimental on desktop and mobile. We have some for Blazor and ASP.NET Core. So these are things that we're experimenting with. We want your feedback on to know if you want them in the toolkit, where can we improve these things, how will you use them, so we can make them better for you. So keep that in mind when you're using them, that these are experimental. Things aren't 100% as we learn all of the time with AI. So make sure you use them with a little bit of caution. We have some new demos that are up on demos.telerik.com underneath of the Telerik UI for Blazor and ASP.NET Core demo sections. I'm going to show you some of those in just a moment. But to kind of give you a heads up of what they are, we've got the grid, the Smart Grid AI search. So this is a contextual search grid where you can type in a search that isn't verbatim, string for string, but rather the same concept, the same type of object. Whatever kind of fuzzy search you want to put in there, it will bring up similar items in that respect. We have the same thing for the ComboBox, and then we have a PDFViewer Smart Assistant integration. This is similar to what Sam showed with the Microsoft Word style text application that he was demoing, where you start typing and it's figuring out things that you want to predict and type into your text box, where this PDF viewer is doing more of an analysis on some text or some content that we already have based on a PDF, and then giving us an analysis or a summary of that content. So we'll take a look at those in just a moment. Just to mention that we do have the AI chat component that is out of the labs and is inside of this release for MVC and Blazor. So you can blend UI with AI there in your applications today using your own connection to your favorite generative AI service. The nice thing about the component is there's lots of templates, prompts that you can map, and it's fully customizable, and I'll show you a demo of how to customize it just a little bit. So let's take a look at some of these AI demos. Let me jump out to my browser. Wrong one, I've got two browsers open here. And first we'll check out the new components that are in the the lab, things that aren't quite released yet, but they're things that we're experimenting with. Make sure you check these out up at the top left-hand corner of the demos site for both Telerik UI for Blazor and MVC. You will see Blazor Lab or ASP.NET Core Lab, depending on which set of demos you're looking at. And I have the AI Smart Grid, the ComboBox Smart Search, and the PDF Assistant demos here. Let's start out with the grid. And this is something I feel like will be really handy for folks that are building out grids that have a lot of data in them, that your users need to be able to search in an intelligent way. I feel strongly that this is useful, but we'd love to hear your feedback on this component and some of the other things in the Blazor lab here. And what we can do with the Smart Search is this is a vector-based search or a semantic search. So we have some examples that are up in the top here. You can see we can type things like milk, oatmeal, or cake, and let's see what kind of answers we get back. If we type in milk in the search box, you'll see the category and description are dairy products and cheese. None of those contain the word milk, but since this is a smart search, it's contextually aware of what we're looking for. It's able to bring up items that are related to milk. Same thing for oatmeal. I would imagine we see things like cereal and stuff like that come up. There we go, grains and cereals, bread, crackers, pasta, and cereal. These are all things that are associated with oatmeal, made of oatmeal, that sort of thing. So smart search, definitely something that could be very powerful. And we could employ this in our combo box as well. So we've got the combo smart search. Similar idea here, but we're picking items from a list. Let's try one of the suggestions here. So I type in pasta and I get gnocchi and I get ravioli here. So while they're not exactly saying pasta in the description, we get those items from the menu. So again, very powerful to be able to search through these data sets. When we don't have the exact text, we can still get the thing that we're looking for.
Hey, Ed, can I chime in real
Yes.
quick?
Please do, Sam.
A couple of things. I'm looking at the chat room here. Our good friend Eric Johansson is here, and some of the smart components are fun to look at. So impressive stuff. We also have questions like exactly what you are asking. If you're working in the federal government or military or anything sensitive, and you cannot go to the AI, OpenAI, cloud as yet, that's totally fine. Some of these things that Ed is showing you, those can be powered by local embeddings, and those can be running locally on your server, so you don't have to go talk to any cloud. And if you are concerned about, how can you have developers not doing the wrong things, just not use the AI component or AI prompt. That's all. I mean, we are not doing anything. It's just a UI. It's all up to you and the developers to wire this up to whichever service or have things running locally if you want. So whenever you are ready, we are ready.
And security is at top of our mind too, and that kind of actually segues really well into the next demo, because you'll notice that the next demo is not a live demo, it is actually a series of GIF animations, because we wanted to set up, we have the smart grid and the smart combo box. We kind of know the limitations of what you're going to type in those, whereas a PDF component, we don't want people uploading random PDFs into whatever generative AI service that we're using and maybe exposing something they didn't mean to expose. So we chose to do this one as an offline demo that you can take and run locally and see on your own under your own security principles. But as an online demo, we chose to do this as a GIF animation. But the idea here is we have our PDF that is being fed into an AI service, and using our AI assistant, you can analyze and display a summary or ask questions about that PDF to the AI and get answers back. So instead of having to read through the entire document, you can kind of summarize things very quickly. This is very helpful in a business scenario where you're trying to get through things in a timely manner, and maybe you don't have time to read the entire thing. So we don't provide the model, just to be clear here, for any of the searches. So you're going to enter some keys for either a cloud-based service or hook this to a local model of your own to do the actual AI processing. So we're not providing the processing for you. We're just giving you the UI capabilities. And this is helpful, especially with something like the AI prompt that I'm about to show you. So this is something that is not experimental. This is in our current release. So next we have the AI prompt. So if you look at the AI prompt here, it's very similar to what Sam showed you for WPF and some of the other desktop and mobile applications. We have an AI assistant that we can ask questions to. And we also have a suggestion prompt. So these are all different pieces of user interface that we provide that you can hook to your own AI service and power that AI service. So we're taking a lot of work away from you in the front end. So you don't have to build out all of these views where you can switch between, prompts and responses, give templates and all of that. It's all taken care of. So you just need to add the pieces that you need for your front end. So I'll show you a little bit of how to customize these in just a second, but let's take a quick tour of the AI prompt itself. So we've got the basic prompt where we can type in things. We could say, tell me about Blazor, and we could hit generate there, get an answer back. This is hooked to a proxy service. It's not giving me a real answer right here, but we have the ability to set up prompt suggestions, which these are defined by you. You could set up things that are contextual to whatever your application does and have those as a default prompt to go ask the AI service to do something. So that's very handy. And then we have templates for every part of the AI prompt as well. So if you want to customize this panel where you ask the AI a question, add additional buttons here, or customize the output, or even add additional views to the list above here and have your own panels, that is all possible with the templates in the views features of the AI prompt. So I'm going to actually do a demo here of how to use the Blazor AI prompt with a live service and work with some of these prompt views. So I'm going to switch over to an application that I have running on my machine, and I have the AI prompt here. We'll go ahead and ask it a question. I'll say, tell me about Blazor, and see if we get a response back when I hit generate. And when I hit generate, we're going out, making a call to the API. It's getting a response back, which is just a big stream of text. And we're going to display that inside of the responses panel. Now, I didn't have to wire up every single thing that's happening here. All I really had to do is tell the component where my keys are located and connect to that service, and then just bring the text back and tell it that's the response, and it will switch panels according to what part of the process I'm in, and then I can manually switch back and forth. When I hit generate, it's going to send me to the response page, etc. Now, me being a web developer, I know the capabilities of the browser and what it can do, and I thought, hey, we've got this nice prompt page, and there are some views and templates here that I can take advantage of. I can easily add a button to the footer of this prompt panel. So why don't I go ahead and add a new button here and take advantage of the browser's text-to-speech recognition. This is something that comes in the browser for free. It doesn't require any advanced AI or anything like that. So I'm going to go into the AI prompt view, and you'll see a footer template here. And for the sake of time, I just have the button commented out. The code is already there for me to wire up. I'm going to on-comment this, and I've got a new Telerik button here that's called, or has an action of on record. And when I click that record button, it's also going to show a loader, a Telerik loader, which is going to give the user a cue that the browser is listening. So this is, just two Telerik buttons connected to the browser's text-to-speech API. So if we rerun the application, we can see that our footer template will now have another button inside of it, and I've just extended the functionality of my AI chatbot. So now the browser comes up, and if we look down in the corner here, you can see I have my microphone input. So I can come into the browser now and say, tell me about Telerik UI for Blazor. Sorry, I had to be quiet for a moment there because it is waiting for me to stop talking. And that is a browser API. Again, I'm not doing any AI integrations there, except for when I stop talking, the component is going to pick up the text that comes back from the browser and then kick off a set of commands to send that up to Azure and back. So I've got my text back from Azure, and it's a pretty good description of what Telerik UI for Blazor is. I've kind of got a nice voice input here, and I'd like to actually have this read back to me. So it could be a little bit more like a custom, Alexa or other smart device in my house where I can just talk to it and it talks back. So let's go take a look at the response templates. And I have a similar footer section in the response templates. What if I were to put something in here that would read back the text for me? Now I could go into the browser again and use a browser API to get it to read back the speech to text for me. And I'm going to switch headgear out for a minute here.
While Ed's bringing his microphone back, I'm going to answer maybe one or two questions that I see in the chat room. So let's see. A lot of questions here, which is very nice to see. Misty was talking about ThemeBuilder because I did show it off, and a lot of love for ThemeBuilder. And there was a question about ThemeBuilder. Nope, I still don't hear you yet. Yeah, I mean, maybe feel free to go past that audio thing. We don't want that to be the blocker for the rest. So ThemeBuilder is a separate thing of its own, right? So it's not a part of DevCraft. So, we do have, SaaS models. So Fiddler, ThemeBuilder, they are on their own. So if you want to work with the design system, that's a separate thing from DevCraft.
So I've got the browser able to listen to my audio. What I would like to do is have the browser play back the audio from the response. Unfortunately, the browser APIs are really terrible at generating speech from text. They're really good at capturing text to speech, but the other way around, it sounds like a 1980s speak and spell. So instead of going to the browser, I'm going to go out to Azure. And I'm going to feed Azure the response that I get back from my AI, and I'm going to put that response into an audio file and just run that in the browser instead. So let's go ahead and rerun this. And we should get another button in our response panel. So let's try to make this go a little bit faster. We'll just, we'll type in the response this time. Maybe it won't break my microphone or the prompt. And we'll say, tell me about .NET MAUI. Hit generate here, and we should get an audio response back. And I'll try to make this audible to the audience.
We hear some of it. Yeah. Not the
All right. So I'm assuming you can hear that.
Yeah.
That is now happening through the component in the footer section. You'll notice I've got an audio playback component now. So just through the footer itself, I was able to add text to speech and speech to text. So that's where the power of the UI with the AI comes in. So we're giving you the AI prompt with all of the templates and views here to customize it as you see fit. And you can add things like speech to text and text to speech and customize your front end to help drive that experience for the people consuming the application. So that in a nutshell, shows you the power of combining UI and AI together. Let's move on a little bit. I know that little microphone hiccup probably shortened my demo time here a little bit, so we'll move along. We want to talk a little bit about .NET support. Sam gave us a good overview here. For the desktop world is very similar for the web world. We have ASP.NET Core 9 preview and .NET 9 preview supported for our web components as well. Across all of our component libraries, you'll find accessibility updates. We've been working on accessibility for the last few years, making sure that our components are top tier when it comes to accessibility. So you'll constantly see updates here. So we've got things like keyboard navigation, and you'll see that our charts, we've added some new elements and things to our charts to make them more accessible and user-friendly. And this goes across all of the component libraries on the web. If you're talking Telerik UIs for Blazor, ASP.NET Core, or even Kendo UI in the Angular and React world. We're ensuring that we have ARIA compliance, Section 508, WCAG standards, all of that. Now, Sam gave us a good preview of the theme builder. Now, theme builder is a really powerful tool that works with the Progress design system and gives us the ability to theme all of the components that you see on the web. There is a big update that I really want to talk about that came out with the Progress design system, this design system that ThemeBuilder works off of, and that is the ability to do dynamic coloring. So for quite some time now, CSS has supported variables, and they're adding a lot more functionality to those CSS variables, like new functions in CSS that can take variables and combine them together and do math, all sorts of things that make CSS a real programming language. Now, this means that we can do things with color schemes and color systems in the browser now in real time without a processor like Sass. Sass is an unbelievably useful tool, but as time goes on, the browser is picking up things natively that Sass can do. So this means we can do runtime theme changes, and we can do Sass-like things in the browser at runtime. And this allows us to share variables from and to other design systems. Maybe you're using some Bootstrap and you want to bring variables out of Bootstrap and use them with our components, or vice versa. You can do that now by using the CSS variables with our design system. So I'm going to jump out to the web for a moment. And we have a blog post talking about this evolution of our design system and where it's been and where it's going. And we have this new dynamic CSS variables. And you can use Sass, you can use CSS, you can use both. And we're giving you the flexibility to use either. But in this next demo I'm going to show you, you're going to really see the power of CSS variables here. So I'm going to start with Theme Builder. I'm going to get a simple theme going. This is the base Kendo UI theme, or the base Telerik theme. And generally it starts off with like a pink salmon color. I've changed mine to blue here, and I started customizing it a little bit. I'm going to move that into my app in just a moment. But first, I'm going to take a look at what our design system is capable of. And I see this new demo that we just published that gives us an opportunity to play with color. And if I look, I've got different swatches here that I'm not in Theme Builder anymore. I'm in an app, and I can pick colors, and all of the components are changing color within the demo here. So this is happening at runtime. I'm selecting a color, all of the components are changing color. This is a really powerful thing, all right? So the way this works is I have variables inside of the application in CSS, And when I click on a button, those variables are being applied to an inline style that is in a bounding box around all of the components. So if I tell this section of the application that I want blue, all of the elements only within this section of the application will take that variable and use them. This is because CSS variables embrace cascading. The cascading effect that comes with CSS is supported by the variables, and I can do some really neat tricks with these things. So I'm going to do a little design system demo here. I've got my existing AI application that we were just looking at that did the speech to text and all of that. I'm going to go over to this dynamic theme feature. This is a Telerik UI for Blazor application. And I have a Telerik Blazor drop zone, and I can select some files as well, and I have a clear data button here. Let's play around with this, and let's go grab and drag and drop a couple images onto the surface here. So I'm going to drag this balloon graphic in, and AI is going to analyze this graphic for me, and it says it's a group of hot air balloons in the sky, and it tells me there's balloons, aircraft, sky, and it generated a palette for me, which I can then feed into the dynamic color system of the Telerik or Progress design system, and it has chosen a color and themed all of the components in this card. Let's try another one. I particularly enjoy a cup of coffee. I've got a couple pictures of coffee here. We'll go ahead and drag that, let AI analyze it, and quickly it comes back with a nice brown theme here. And I've got a button that says select theme. Let's go ahead and hit that. Notice the entire application just got themed at runtime. If I go back to my AI demo, even the buttons here are colored with this dynamic theme, and I can easily just switch around these theme colors. So AI is actually taking these live in real time, returning back a color. That color then goes into the design system variables, and we can set the scope of where those variables are within the application at the click of a button and redesign the theme around the app in real time. So hopefully you're as excited about the CSS variables as I am, because they enable some really amazing things like real-time changes in your theming. So you can provide themes out of the box. You could have a light theme, a dark theme, an accessible high contrast theme, and let your users switch those on the fly. Or maybe you can allow your users some input on the section of the site that they're working in. There's limitless possibilities now. So I talked a bit about design. Let's talk about components. We're going to go into specific sections of our libraries here and talk about individual component packages. Let's start with Blazor. So let's talk Telerik UI for Blazor. On top of the new AI component, we have some other things in the works that are in this release. The spreadsheet component is one that customers kept asking for, and we are delivering on. So we have the brand new spreadsheet component for Telerik UI for Blazor, similar to what Sam showed for the desktop here. We have a fully working spreadsheet component that you can embed in your application. This works without any type of Microsoft licensing or anything like that. This is its own self-contained Telerik component. It has multiple tab sheets. You can use import and export to bring your Excel spreadsheets in and out of your application. Formula support, so you can write those Excel formulas right in the spreadsheet, right online in your app. You can embed images in these. You can merge cells, all the things that you would expect from a spreadsheet. So that is now available for Telerik UI for Blazor. Another component that is really handy with all of this AI stuff is the rating component. While it's not an AI thing in its own right, it does help with training models and things like that. But you can do custom range values, fractional values, custom templates. It's keyboard supported, has right to left support. All of the things that you need for a rating component are there. We have a badge component. This is, one of those components that is very similar to showing like notifications on a device, where you have an app icon, something that you want to alert the user to some sort of activity or an item count. You can do that with the badge, and you can control positioning, color, size, and the shape of that component. We've also got the sand key diagram chart. This is in addition to our other chart components, and you can visualize workflows between elements. This is something you see in like Google Analytics, for example. If you're looking at traffic flow through your website, you can build these type of experiences with Telerik UI for Blazor, where you can show these relationships between different elements and control the layout between them, customize the size of each node, and the legends, whether they're appear, you have the legends appear or not, and the links between these, you can customize the colors and how they associate from one node to another. Our charts also got an update with the trend line. Telerik UI for Blazor had some additions in this release. So we added a polynomial exponential power and logarithmic trend lines to the line graphs that are in the library. The AppBar is actually something that you saw briefly in my color palette demo that I just did. So at the top of the application, you may have noticed the AppBar, and that changed color because it's a Telerik component, and it was using some of our CSS variables to do some color changes. This AppBar component has some nice properties of its own. You can position it fixed, sticky, or static. So you can have it, float as you scroll or stay at the top of the page, at the bottom of the page, that sort of thing. You can take advantage of the different sections and have the items flow through the app bar left to right, adjust spacing accordingly, all of that sort of things. It has built-in separators, and again, it follows the theme coloring of the application. Popup and Popover, this is something that folks were asking for quite a bit, and this allows you to display metadata, additional information over the top of something. Great example here with the calendar, so you can kind of hide away certain pieces of additional information. This has collision detection as well, so if you're opening the Popover, up at the top of the page or bottom of the page, it will detect if it's going to collide and then display the pop-up where it has space for it. You can also customize the positioning, the image, and the layout of those popovers as well. And of course, there's a huge list of enhancements that I don't have time to go through every single one because there's so much to talk about in this release. But just a few of those things. The tree list got several updates, including virtual scrolling, drag events, keyboard navigation. The scheduler has a new per item slot parameter. There's a new stepper template for the wizard. The window constrained movement feature is really cool. This allows you to have your windows bound within a container. So you have a div element or something that you want to contain a window inside of and not have it break out of that box. You can do that with the window component now. The charts got some updates that I showed you, and there's so much more. If you visit telerik.com and go to your product of choice and say what's new, you'll find a whole list of things that we just don't have time to cover in the webinar. So let's take a quick look at the Telerik UI for Blazor demos. We'll only spend a few minutes here because we only have a little bit of time left, but I just want to kind of highlight a couple things that were new in this release that I thought were impressive. The spreadsheet, for one, I talked about it having the Excel-like features right in the browser. One of the things that is really impressive by this spreadsheet component is we can do multiple tabs, so we can have more than one sheet in here. So we have this user interface down at the bottom. You just click, add button, just as you'd expect in your Excel application, and we can create multiple sheets right here in the browser. We can also drop the menu down here, rename the sheets as well. It's all, intuitive interface that you would expect from a spreadsheet component. You've got your file menu up here at the top, so we could bring in and import an Excel file here, or we could export this Excel file right inside the browser, bring that up in Excel, and there it is. So, just input output of spreadsheets right in the spreadsheet component.
Hey, just a quick note. While you are
Yes.
talking about the spreadsheet control, Eric was asking if that's the same or compatible with the MAUI ones. So no, they're different controls per se, because one is for Blazor, one is for .NET MAUI, one is for WinForms or WPF, but they're all powered by the same .NET library, which is our document processing library. So I mean, if you're dealing with like spreadsheets in the background, you can display them in whichever platform that you want. So the UI might be different, but the underlying tech stack is the same.
Yeah, the tech stack is the same. The UI is probably going to vary slightly, but you're going to find a lot of commonalities between the two things as well. So it's not a completely different experience from one to another. You might find maybe a different set of platform-specific navigation at the top, something like that. But for the most part, you've got the same concepts inside of this. And it's things that we're used to with spreadsheet components. Like I can take this section here and I can merge the cells together. I mean, this is something that you just expect a spreadsheet to do, right? Another thing that you could do is take and drop images directly inside of the spreadsheet and resize and all of that stuff. Very powerful, browser-based spreadsheet capabilities here. Again, if you go to demos.telerik.com and you're looking through these demos, make sure you check them out. If they say updated, that means we've added something in the last release. And if it says new, that means it's something brand new. Let's take a look at the Blazor rating component just for a quick second as well. One thing that I like about the Blazor rating component or any of our Telerik UI or Kendo UI rating components is you think, when you first see something like this, well, this is a basic component. It doesn't have a whole lot of features, right? I could probably build this myself. It's just listing out, a couple of graphics, right? But when you dig into it and you look at things like precision, that's when it really starts to become impressive here. So I can do things like half precision. So I can give things half stars, and then you start to think about, okay, I couldn't have built this myself. Like it starts to get a little bit more tricky. How do I display these half pieces of icons and things like that? So there's a lot more going on than at first glance. And of course, you got templates. You can swap out some of the iconography there, use your own. You integrate it with other components like the form. And then you have, additional features like right to left and left to right, which we might need to look at the demo there. Oh, sorry, it's over here on this side. I'm so fixated on the left side, I didn't realize it was over here on the right. But notice that not only is it drawing on the right-hand side, but when I look at the rating and hover, it's aligning that capability to the right side as well. So it's full right to left compatible, and of course keyboard navigation. So again, rating might seem simple at first, but then you start looking at the nuances of all the things that it can do, and it's pretty impressive stuff. The Sankey diagram, the best part of this is if you go to the configuration tab on it, then you can see all of the bells and whistles that you can tune here. Things like the node width. So you can come in here and specify how fat you want those node bars to be, where you want the labels to appear. Tune this best to what your target customer is going to be and what you're trying to analyze here. So the flexibility in that configuration page is going to help you when you implement this in your product. So that's just some of the things that are new in Telerik UI for Blazor that you should check out. And it is time to move on to a little bit of ASP.NET Core and MVC. So I'd like to bundle these together. For the most part, you're going to see the same updates between the two, give or take a little bit of features here and there, depending on what they are. So we've got the Sankey diagram chart again, pretty much the same one that you saw in Blazor. You're going to see the same type of thing in MVC and .NET Core. The trend line chart as well got some of the similar updates that we saw in Blazor. So again, you're doing any kind of trend analysis, you can display those with the chart. The badge component, we talked about that in Blazor as well. So again, super common practice to display those like notification icons, maybe a cart inside of your navigation with how many items are in it. So many use cases for that one. We've got a question about source code for the things that I showed. Our support folks have the GitHub link to share you, by the way. Property Grid. This is one that I want to show in the browser while we still have time, because this one I know we've had folks asking for. Our customers, we listen to our customers when they ask for components, and this is one that I've seen come up quite often, and we were able to deliver on it. And there's some really neat features here that are worth talking about. So first of all, we've got the Property Grid. It has, the obvious search capabilities. We can sort items in it. We can do grouping. We've got a nice lightweight grid type of display here. So this is the properties for our button here on the left-hand side. And we can expand and contract this panel as well. But what's really interesting here is I never even thought about this until I saw the demo. The multiple selection capability is just really neat. So if I take and have this multiple selection enabled on my property grid, I can select this text box and the button using a control click. And what the property panel is going to do is show the common properties between the two elements. So that's something that you get out of the box there. And I think that is a really cool UI feature that is going to make the property grid extra handy. So that's our new property grid. We've got, again, the Sankey chart into ASP.NET Core. Again, lots of updates here. And at the very top of things, you'll see the Core Lab. So you've got some of the AI-powered things for ASP.NET Core as well. And of course, the AIPrompt component that is part of the toolkit.
Ed, real quick, while you are
Yes.
talking about the AI prompt, we've had multiple folks ask. So there are two aspects of what we're doing with AI. The smart components are experimental, but the AI prompt, that's out. You can see that in every one of the demos. So that's completely out and ready for you to use.
Correct. Yep, the AI component is part of ASP.NET Core Blazor. We can jump over to MVC. I think we only have it in Core, if I'm not no, we have it in MVC as well. Sorry, I was trying to remember which. I think we have it on all the web fronts except for AJAX. So you're talking Angular, React, MVC, Core, Blazor. So you've got the AI prompt. MVC didn't have the experimental bits. It only has the released bits. Again, more enhancements. If you go back to that page that I was just on there, if you go to demos.telerik.com or any of the product pages, select roadmap and see what's new. On the what's new page, you'll get a very detailed list of all of the updates, the things that you see the little updated icon for, and much more listed out in there. Again, my network connection's been a little slow there. So that is ASP.NET Core in MVC. Let's talk about AJAX. The chip and chip list, you actually saw this in my Blazor demo. We have this for Telerik UI for Blazor as well. Now we have it in AJAX. And you would have noticed in my card components, just like you see here, these tags that are coming up, they're being used in multiple ways here in this demo. So we've got our categories, our drink tags. These are all chip and chip lists. So you can feed the chip list a series of data, display that as these nice little pills that are UI items. And there's interactive bits to these as well, which I wasn't using in my AI demo, but I can show you here in our demos on the website for Telerik UI for AJAX. If I go into chip list, you can see that they can be selectable or not selectable. You can interact with them and use them as filtering devices and things like that. But also the individual chips themselves have some interactivity where you can, let's see here. We've got select interactivity there. We have some ways of theming them as well. So we can show different themes here, fill them, outline them, and so on. So that is new to Telerik UI for AJAX. And Sam, I'm going to hand it back to you to wrap up unless we have any questions that I need to use my screen for here.
All right, yeah, lots of good things happening. Let's a big thank you to our folks who are in the back rooms trying to answer as many questions from the chat room as they can. So I think most of it got answered or taken care of. Let's we got like 3-4 minutes left. Let's talk about a couple of the things that kept on coming up. So Joaquin Zhu, if I'm saying your name right, hopefully, about the AI search engines and the prompts and then what we can and cannot do. So let's be clear here. I mean, if you don't want to use it, then you don't use those components. If you do use it, you got some choices here. So Joaquin is asking, can we embed our own AI engine or model into that? Yes, absolutely. So
Yep.
all we do is give you the UI, so the developer doesn't have to rediscover those views, the input, the prompt engineering, the outputs, and then the copy paste or the thumbs up, thumbs down, or any of the extra supporting commands. And you saw Ed show off how the header and footer part of those UI components are very customizable as well. So you have your own machine learning model, bring it in. That way you're not even going outside. In fact, you can also, fake things. Just because it's an AI prompt doesn't mean that you have to actually go talk to an AI service. So if you look at some of the web-based demos, we cannot open them up with actual hookups to AI services because that'll be very expensive, right? So you can see, like, you can use them even in a static way. Like as the user is typing in pasta, you have a list of, enumerated list of local embeddings, and you are giving them a much easier semantic search without even going to an AI service. So while we are, lining things up for you to use it as an AI service, you don't have to, always go talk to the public, AI cloud, if that makes sense. And there were questions, Ed, while you were going through, like for the ones that are marked updated, the controls, are there extra labels that show people like what exactly is updated?
Yeah, so if you go to demos.telerik.com, pick your favorite tool there. In the left-hand side, when you're looking at an individual demo, there's a list of all the components. They will say updated or new if they've been touched in the last release. And I say last release with a little bit of emphasis because we do release minor releases throughout the year that are not tied to a webinar. So there may be things in there that are updated and new that just you haven't seen, but we've had additional releases since, so those tags have been removed. So make sure you go through the what's new or the history. They're a little bit more complete, but that gives you a good at a glance, like what changed. But if you want to learn more and see if there's some things you might be missing, I would dive a little deeper into the what's new in the release history. The release history is going to give you way more metadata than you might be able to parse through, but it's a great resource if you want to see like very nuanced, granular things that were updated.
Yep. All right. Another question here from Alina about AJAX components and AJAX supports, and we'll let Ed weigh in. But will we continue investing and improving the suite? And my answer is yes, because you look at the stack of everything that's evolving on the web. Web forms will not cross it over to .NET Core or modern .NET, but that doesn't mean that it's not viable. In fact, it is super productive as a web developer to keep doing things the web forms way. So if you are happy with .NET Framework, you can see our backwards compatibility. A lot of apps are web forms and they run just fine. So we will keep on improving things for you folks.
Yeah,
Ed,
and
what
I
are
think
your thoughts?
Microsoft knows there's a lot of people still using it. They do recommend, like it is Microsoft's recommendation for greenfield projects to use Blazor. That's their recommendation. But they know a lot of people are on web forms and continuing to use web forms. So we haven't seen any what do you call it, like news or any type of chatter that says that they're looking to sunset that in any way. They know there's people there using it. We know that we have customers using it, so we're going to continue to support people with what they're productive with. And as long as there's customers there using it, I think we're going to keep supporting it. We have a brand new chip and chip list component for it in this release, so we're adding things to it. I don't think I've had a release webinar in the last 7 years where I haven't had a new component for AJAX. So it's still something that we're investing in. So
Yeah.
just
There were
listen to our
questions.
users.
Yeah, yeah. There were questions from Soren about using the AI prompt. Can we stream text into the component? I mean, in a way, it's a placeholder, like the input and the output. So it's up to you how you want to use it. I mean, if you want to stream text, without going to an AI service and just something internal, something local on-prem into the output, yeah,
Yeah.
that's absolutely possible. There's been a lot of questions. I'm trying to skim through. Most of them have hopefully been answered. But again, please remember, folks, the hashtag is HeyTelerik. So if you have a more detailed question and you want us to get back to you on breadcrumb, we will be happy to. A lot of folks were impressed with your demos, Ed, and good things to show off, with ThemeBuilder as well. The smart components thing, it's very new and it's experimental, but hopefully, some folks were really impressed with the possibilities of what's, doable with the enterprise workflow. So hopefully we are, scratching the surface here and trying to make your end users more productive as they're using, their
Yeah.
apps.
And, ThemeBuilder is a newer product of ours, and it just keeps getting more and more powerful. And the new CSS themes are something I'm really excited about. It's something that I've been, voicing my opinion for quite some time, because I know how powerful that capability is to be able to not only change themes at runtime, but that the CSS variables are a common ground where it's a web standard now. So it gives you common ground to talk to other design systems and other things that you use within your application, whether it's like a bootstrap layout or Tailwind or something like that that also has CSS variables. Now your designers are going to be really happy that they can reuse those values or interop with other things with very minimal effort. And eventually, you could theorize that the SaaS tooling fades away, and that's one less piece of your deployment that your CI/CD people are going to have to worry about. So that's it's just the tip of the iceberg here that we're releasing the CSS variables, but it's something that I'm really excited about because I can see the future a couple of years down the road and what that might bring.
Yeah, well said. So on that note here, folks, you're going to see us live stream and sometimes struggle through our code quite a bit. We are up on Twitch, Whack Code It Live. So if your time permits, come and hang out with us. And Ed and me want to thank you a lot for spending 2 hours, precious 2 hours of your day with us. Hopefully you got something out of it, and you see that we are, trying to reinvent the value we provide within our DevCraft family to make you, the developer, more productive and your end users that much more happier with the apps that you're building. Thank you so much again from us. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and be productive, be well, and
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
All right. Yep. Thanks, folks. Bye for now.